I'm Rovy Brannon, Vice Provost at Continuum College for the University of Washington. I'm here today to give you a brief presentation as a pre-watch, as food for thought for your upcoming board meeting. And it's on the topic of what we call the 60-year curriculum and why we think it's so important for developing our current and future workforce. University of Washington's Continuum College was founded in 1912 as Washington Extension. We changed our name to Continuum College in 2016 to better reflect the breadth of our offerings. We have people in our portfolio, learners from ages 8 to 98. You can see our bookend programs, as we call it, our youth programs and our Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. But we also have many, many programs that serve our workforce as well as other adult learners in our population. Last year, Continuum College served 55,000 learners in paying programs, an additional 179,000 learners in our massive open online courses for free. We have about 110 professional master's degree programs in our portfolio today, 100 workforce-focused certificate programs, and last year we offered about 4,000 courses and events to serve learners across the state. Today, we're using the concept of a 60-year curriculum to guide our work moving forward. When we talk about the 60-year curriculum, we really are talking about the new imperative for lifetime learning. We've seen a huge shift in the level of education necessary to enter jobs in the economy. We are having some great discussions about whether these post-secondary credentials are as meaningful as they once were in terms of markers, but the reality is in the 1970s, 30% of jobs required a college education, and today, 70% of jobs require a college education. We also know there is growing inequality in the pay structures of jobs that no longer require or do not require college education today, and that's leading to fracturing civil society. We've got issues across the board because we don't have enough access and enough impetus for a college-educated population. We are all facing a demographic cliff. In higher education, this is about enrollments, but for businesses, this is about having enough prepared workers. As we see our enrollments go down, 2026 will represent one of the smallest generations graduating for high school in decades, and that's going to impact all of us. And so as we look at that smaller generation, we really have to focus on older learners, older workers, and help them retool, continue to learn, and focus on new ways of working in the future. I won't even belabor technology. I think in the last 4 months, we could just say ChatGPT, and that would be enough to understand how rapidly technology is changing. But it isn't just ChatGPT, it's all the ways that technology is changing society. It is moving faster. And when you combine that with what we now call the 100-year life, and Grattan and Scott at the London School of Economics wrote a book called The 100-Year Life, Living and Working in an Age of Longevity. And in that book, they look at the data, and what they can say is that our 18-year-olds today have a better than 50% chance to live past the age of 100. Many of them will work until they are 85. Let me say that again. Our current 18-year-olds have a better than 50% chance to live over 100. They will be healthy into their 90s and will likely work until they are 85 years old. That's a 60-year working life if we think about 25 to 85, and we believe that a 60-year curriculum is necessary to support that 60-year life as we move forward. 60-year curriculum was coined by my colleague Gary Mackin at the University of California, Irvine several years ago. And our working definition at the University of Washington is that it is the formal higher education a person needs over the course of a 60-year working life. To put a finer point on it, if we talk about lifelong learning, it's kind of a vacuous term. That's what learners must do. My colleague Hunt Lambert says the 60-year curriculum really represents what institutions must do to support lifelong learning as we move into this more complicated future. There are 5 core components to the way that we think about the 60-year curriculum at the University of Washington, and I'll briefly describe each of these today. Each of these could be a full talk in and of themselves, but let me just give you a brief overview here. And I hope, again, this whets your appetite maybe to learn a little bit more about this. The meta curriculum is looking at our curriculum instead of a single course or a grouping of courses in a single degree, looking at our entire array of those 4,000 courses and programs and understanding how they fit, not from a content perspective, but across a lifespan of learning. When do you need to change careers? That's going to be very different in the future. We might think of career preparation as being 18 to 22, but a 50-year-old, even today, might have an additional 20 to 25 years of career in front of them. Are the same programs appropriate? When are the same programs the correct programs? When do we need different kinds of programs to serve people, not based on where they're going in terms of their work or their career, but based on their lifespan, their previous history, and a whole lot of personalized learning factors. Digital credentials will be the currency of the new workforce economy from a learning perspective. The ability to demystify higher education, in fact, the imperative to demystify higher education, to be really clear about what we're teaching and when we're teaching, and then to create credentials that allow that information to move seamlessly between employers, for employers to do the same thing, to allow workforce training to move seamlessly as credentials back into higher education environments, to move from one higher education institution to another higher education institution seamlessly over the course of your career, getting what you need, will require a different approach to credentialing. Credentials that are digital, portable, have a lot of information about the context and the level of performance expected from a given learning experience. This is what the future looks like around credentialing. There are a lot of different forms and formats that we could debate over what that will look like, but absolutely essential to what we think about in terms of the ability to move forward in a 60-year curriculum. The new academic tech stack, again, will not belabor this point, but in higher education, we tend to think in terms of student information data, learning management systems, all tied around the specific nature of a single credential. The new academic tech stack starts with relationships. We are building not from a student information and content perspective, we're building from a CRM or customer relationship management or a learner relationship management database perspective. And we will then look at this and assume that learners will come back to us repeatedly over their lifetime to retool and build out that academic technology stack to be able to support learners in a completely different way than we do today. Our learner services are also evolving and changing. We have now what we call enrollment services coaches. At the University of Washington's Continuum College, we offer 21 different programs with the word data in the title. It is an increasingly choice-based but very complex environment if you're an adult learner. Do I need a master's degree in data science? Do I need a certificate in data analytics? Do I need a one-day seminar in data visualization? Having an enrollment services coach to help you understand where you are and what you need to move forward in your career is a different kind of job that we already have today. But we understand that what we're increasingly being asked for are career coaching services, not just how does learning impact my outcomes, but how do my outcomes link to the potential for my career, my next job, and potentially the next job after that. So we're seeing increasingly sophisticated asks for career services. We can speculate that a learning and career concierge may be a part of our future learning services array, or even a learning records counselor, much like a genetics counselor has to help you understand genetics information because your doctor's not well suited to do that. We could see a future where learning records counselors can see in your learning data patterns that you might need to understand and know about as you move forward in your life and career. So some of that's speculative, but we know that learner services are changing and expanding, and we have to think differently about learner services when we talk about educating people over a 60-year working life. And finally, we have $1.8 trillion in student debt in this country already. We know that funding and policy around how these elements work, everything from accreditation and how we view accreditation to how we help learners afford these kinds of programs over their lifetime, those have to also be front and center as we think about what this looks like. So just to give a quick summary, we believe that the world is changing around us. People are living longer. Technology is changing faster. The demographics of society are shifting. We must educate people over their lifetimes, continue to educate them on a ongoing and formal basis at different points in times than we've ever thought were necessary. And again, thinking of that 50-year-old still having a 20 to 25-year career in front of them, if we do not think in terms of those who are over the age of 45 today in terms of higher education, we are missing a huge resource that's going to be necessary to continue to fulfill the jobs of the future. Thank you so much. Again, this was just a very brief overview of the topic we call the 60-year curriculum at the University of Washington's Continuum College. There are my particulars to stay in touch with me. I'd love to hear from some of you if you are interested. A shameless plug for our podcast, Learn, Earn, Relearn. It's a limited episode. It's about 6 episodes long, and we interview some of the guests that speak on these topics from around the world. So we hope you'll have a chance to download Learn, Earn, Relearn and give that a listen as well. So thank you very much. We hope you have a wonderful board meeting, and I hope I get the chance to come see you in person soon and have a conversation about this and other workforce preparation topics. Thank you.